They came from the dark edge of the Perseus arm, a fleet of silver crescents, silent as blades in the void. To most of the galaxy, the name Valith Dominion meant inevitability. They were not an empire of passion or vengeance, they were an equation. Every species they found became part of their order, or erased from the ledger of the stars. For 2 centuries, no world had refused them. Until they reached Sol, their ships entered our system on the first day of March, gliding past Neptune's orbit like ghosts. The Dominion's flagship, Haran's Pride, transmitted a single, perfect message, composed in 6,000 languages, broadcast through every frequency, every particle band. To the species known as humanity, your cycle of independence is over. Submit your fleets, dismantle your weapons. You will serve the Dominion, or you will cease to exist. There was no rage in their tone, only certainty. The Valith were masters of conquest, tall, elegant beings of glass-gray skin and golden eyes. Their armor was living metal, their voices like choral machines. They had burned entire civilizations that resisted them. The Harwin, the Muskai, the 12 of Ashar, each had fallen within a single solar rotation. But as their admirals watched the blue sphere of Earth drift into their scopes, they found something strange. No reply, not one transmission, not one plea, not one surrender code, just silence. Days passed. Their scouts approached the moon's orbit. They detected satellites, thousands of them, glimmering like a halo of steel around the planet. But there was no defense grid activation, no fleet formation, no negotiation signal. The humans, it seemed, were waiting. From the bridge of Haran's Pride, Grand Marshal Theron Voss frowned. His species had seen rebellion, desperation, madness, but never this. Never a species that simply ignored them. Perhaps they are already broken, said his second, Kareth. Their silence is surrender. Voss watched the blue world turn slowly in the darkness. No, he murmured, this is not surrender. This is calculation. On Earth, the skies remained calm. News networks carried rumors of strange signals from deep space, but the governments said nothing. In underground facilities, buried beneath mountains, ocean floors, and lunar rock, humanity listened. And they waited. For the first time in Dominion history, the invaders were uncertain. Their translators replayed the silence again and again, as if it hit a code they couldn't decipher. The humans had not spoken a single word, and somehow, that silence spoke louder than any weapon. In the great halls of the Dominion's War Council, Theron Voss gave his command. Bring the fleet closer, if they will not speak. We shall force their tongue. Engines flared, stars bent. The Dominion descended toward Earth, toward the species that dared to say nothing. And on the surface, in quiet bunkers and darkened command rooms, humanity exhaled once, as if sharing a single breath across an entire world. The silence ended. Steel awakened. The Dominion fleet breached Earth's orbit with precision born of centuries of conquest. Cities across the globe lit up with blue halos as their orbital lenses targeted communication grids, power lines, and military satellites. From the ground, they looked like new stars, dozens of them, shimmering above the clouds. The Valith didn't attack out of anger. They did it the way a mathematician solves a problem, efficiently, dispassionately, utterly sure of the result. Within minutes, the moon's surface installations were slag. The Mars colonies fell silent. Human space stations drifted lifeless. And still, no reply. From his command throne aboard Haran's Pride, Grand Marshal Theron Voss watched the planet's defense networks flicker and die. It is done, Kareth said. The species is paralyzed. But Voss hesitated. On his tactical display, small markers began to flicker, not large fleets, not planetary shields, but individual pings, thousands of them, tiny metallic signatures scattered across the planet's atmosphere, moving independently. Primitive debris, Kareth suggested. Voss leaned closer. No, those are machines. The Dominion's sensors began picking up signals unlike anything they'd seen, short, encrypted bursts on obsolete frequencies, carrying no centralized pattern. It wasn't command and control, it was coordination without command. And then, the first human strike came. A swarm of kinetic slugs launched from orbitless cannons hidden beneath the Pacific Ocean. No energy weapons. No plasma bursts, just metal dense, silent, devastating. One Dominion cruiser vanished. Then another? Admiral, cried Kareth. Their technology is not the threat, Voss said quietly. Their silence is, For every ship destroyed, 10 more took position. But something unnerved the Valeth. Every human counterattack came not from centralized command, but from everywhere. From deserts, from oceans, from orbit, from underground silos that hadn't existed on any known registry. It was as if the planet itself was fighting back. The Dominion had expected panic. They found coordination, they expected fear. They found calculation. On the surface, cities burned, but the people didn't scatter. In London, firefighters cleared debris beside soldiers. In Tokyo, engineers worked by flashlight to restore satellite relays. In Nairobi, students turned abandoned telescopes into targeting systems. No one waited for orders. Humanity, for the first time in its divided history, acted as one organism, a storm of resolve and improvisation. From the hidden base beneath the Rocky Mountains, Commander Helen Ward watched the chaos unfold. "What's the status of civilian networks?" she asked. "Down worldwide," her technician said, "but shortwave radio's alive. People are talking." "Good," Ward said. "Keep them talking," because in that silence the aliens had demanded, humanity had found its own voice. It wasn't one leader shouting into the void. It was billions whispering the same thing: we're still here. In orbit, Dominion strike teams descended. They targeted industrial centers, power stations, and research hubs. But in every strike, humans adapted using gravity, terrain, and chaos itself as weapons. A single orbital refinery was detonated above the Indian Ocean, scattering metallic debris into the paths of Dominion ships. A simple, crude trick, but devastating. Even as their weapons melted continents, the Valeth began to hesitate. Their sensors could no longer predict human movement. Their models, perfect for millennia, began to fail. Because humans didn't act logically, they acted intuitively. They made impossible decisions that shouldn't work, but did. And beneath all of it, the Dominion began to sense something they had never encountered before: fear. Not from humans, but for them. Something about their defiance felt ancient, primal, and unstoppable. On the 6th day, the Dominion brought their full force to bear. 20,000 ships formed an iron curtain around Earth. Their weapons glowed like suns. "This ends now," said Kareth. "They will drown in our fire." Grand Marshal Voss hesitated again. Something deep within him, an instinct he had long buried, whispered caution. And then, the humans answered. Not with words, not even with ships, but with the sky itself. Across the night, hundreds of low-orbit objects ignited, invisible before, now blazing like falling stars. To the Dominion, it looked like atmospheric interference. To humans, it was a long-prepared countermeasure: thousands of autonomous kinetic platforms, awakened from decades of sleep. The debris shield they had mocked became a weapon. Every fragment, every derelict satellite, every forgotten piece of human metal reactivated, redirected, and hurled into the invading fleet. No energy weapons, no advanced technology, just physics and human stubbornness. The first wave of Dominion ships was torn apart by the sheer brutality of mass and velocity. The second wave tried to retreat, too late. Earth's magnetic field, long studied, long underestimated, was harnessed through orbital relays to scramble Dominion targeting systems. Their precision vanished, their order fractured. For the first time in its long history, the Dominion fleet lost formation. "This is madness," Kareth shouted. "This is humanity," Voss whispered. As the fleet burned, Earth's skies shimmered with auroras, red, green, violet, born from the clash of alien energy and human steel. To the Valeth, it was the light of ruin. To humans, it was the light of victory. When the smoke cleared, one truth remained: they had demanded surrender. Humanity had answered, not with words, but with silence and steel. Weeks had passed since the orbital battlefield. The Dominion fleet had suffered losses the galaxy had never recorded before. Yet, the Grand Marshal did not surrender. Voss had retreated to the outer rim, gathering the remnants of his armada, repairing what could be repaired, preparing to return with renewed force. "This is not defeat," Kareth said, scanning reports of Earth's defenses. "It is uncertainty," Voss replied. His golden eyes reflected the void. "They are not like any species we have encountered. We underestimated everything." The fleet descended toward Earth again, but this time, with caution. Every step, every trajectory, was calculated to probe, to test, to learn. The Dominion expected surrender. They found anticipation. On Earth, humanity had not waited. The days after the first battle were spent rebuilding, studying alien technology, and preparing for a return that every human instinct told them was inevitable. Commander Helena Ward stood on the roof of a rebuilt command center in Colorado, watching the skies. "They're coming back," her lieutenant said. "Good," Ward replied. "Let's show them what else we can do." And humanity did not disappoint. From orbital relays, scientists manipulated gravitational fields to redirect incoming projectiles. Engineers converted civilian drones into mobile defense units. Children, adults, elders, all contributed, all connected, all improvising in real time. The Dominion expected panic. They found ingenuity. Their fleet, once an ocean of precision and arrogance, now faced an enemy that could think faster than they could predict. Voss, watching from the flagship, leaned forward. "They are not just fighting," he said. "They are writing their own rules." The first strike of the human counteroffensive came from an unexpected vector. Mars, long abandoned by Earth colonists, its surface was now covered with improvised kinetic launchers, orbital relays, and autonomous drones. Humans fired simultaneously from Mars, Earth orbit, and the Moon. Dominion ships, confident and arrogant, moved to intercept. But every trajectory they predicted was countered. Every attack they launched was deflected. A single human cruiser, piloted by Commander Ward herself, darted between orbital debris and gravity wells, striking the Dominion flagship Haran's Pride with pinpoint precision. "We underestimated them," Kareth admitted, her voice trembling. "No," Voss replied. "We never understood them." The Dominion fleet faltered. Ships collided, engines burned out, weapons jammed. The humans were not merely defending, they were dictating the pace of the battle. On Earth, people watched the night sky with awe. Fire streaked across the heavens. Orbital debris became weapons. Humanity's ingenuity turned the galaxy's greatest conquerors into prey. And still, the humans did not gloat. Every destroyed Dominion craft left behind signals to guide survivors home. Every maneuver ensured minimum casualties, even among enemies. They fought with courage, intelligence, and an uncheckable moral code. By the seventh day, the Dominion's remaining fleet had suffered staggering losses. But more than the destruction, what unsettled them most was the nature of humanity itself. They had anticipated weapons, strategy, even reckless bravery. They had not anticipated principled ingenuity, the ability to improvise under pressure, the unity that rose from shared purpose rather than fear or command. Voss watched from the bridge of his flagship as human drones guided damaged Dominion ships to safe zones. He could not comprehend it. His species had never considered compassion a weapon, yet here it was, bending the outcome of the war. "They fight like no other species," Kareth admitted, her voice hushed. "They do not fight alone. They fight for each other," and in that moment, the Grand Marshal understood something he had never allowed himself to consider. The humans were not merely resilient. They were a force of nature, a storm between the stars. When the counteroffensive ended, Earth remained unscathed, not by chance, not by luck, but by the relentless will, intelligence, and courage of its people. From orbit, Voss turned away from the blue planet, a mixture of awe, fear, and respect in his golden eyes. "Perhaps the galaxy underestimated humans for millennia," he whispered. "Perhaps. No one has ever understood what it truly means to be alive." And on Earth, Commander Ward looked up at the stars and whispered, "We fight. We endure. We prevail." For the first time, the Dominion began to understand. Humans do not merely survive. Humans define survival on their own terms. The skies over Earth had never been so alive. Stars flickered through the haze of smoke and debris, reflecting the scars of battle, yet also the resilience of life. Humanity had not only survived the Dominion's might, it had turned defense into victory, fear into courage, and despair into creativity. Commander Helena Ward stood on the balcony of a rebuilt orbital command station, watching fleets of human ships glide past the remnants of Dominion vessels. "They'll return," a junior officer said. "Let them," Ward replied. "We are ready, and they will see." They underestimated more than our weapons. From orbit to the oceans, deserts, and mountains of Earth, humanity had transformed the planet itself into a network of defense and coordination. Each human engineer, soldier, scientist, child, had become part of a collective force, unified not by orders but by will. The Dominion, which had approached the planet expecting compliance, had instead witnessed the impossible. "Observe, Grand Marshal," Kareth said quietly. "Every attack, anticipated. Every move, countered. They are not merely fighting. They are alive in a way we cannot calculate." Voss said nothing. He merely watched, the weight of centuries of conquest pressing against him. And for the first time, he felt not superiority, but humility. The Dominion withdrew once more, not in surrender, but in reluctant respect. Their fleet still intact, yet forever changed in understanding. They had demanded obedience, but received wisdom in silence and steel. On board Haran's Pride, Voss addressed his council. "We have encountered many species. All have fallen in fear, desperation, or arrogance, but these humans, they fight with courage, compassion, and intelligence. Their strength is not in their weapons, it is in their souls." Kareth studied the blue planet below, glowing with life amidst the ruin. "What makes them so unstoppable?" she asked. Voss looked out at Earth, where children ran beneath auroras born of the last battle, and engineers restored satellites mid-conflict. "They do not wait for perfection," he said. "They do not fear failure. They adapt, they endure, and above all, they fight for one another." The Dominion realized that conquest would not break humanity. It could only respect them, or perish trying. And somewhere deep within the council, the first seeds of admiration took root. On Earth, people celebrated quietly, rebuilding not only their cities but their confidence in themselves. They had faced the impossible, and had redefined it. Commander Ward, standing beneath a sky streaked with auroras and fire, spoke softly to her team. "We've survived what no one else could. And yet, it's not the victories that define us. It's what we do with them." Across the galaxy, the Dominion recalibrated their understanding of life, strength, and defiance. They had measured weapons, numbers, and technology. But humans had revealed something far greater: the unpredictable, indomitable spark of will, courage, and ingenuity. Voss finally spoke the words that would echo through the stars for centuries, and for the first time, the galaxy understood what it truly meant to be human. The children of Earth laughed beneath the auroras. Engineers tinkered with salvaged alien tech. Scientists studied the stars, not in fear, but in awe. Every human, in their way, had contributed to a triumph that would resonate across the galaxy. And as humanity looked to the heavens, the stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, as if acknowledging that one species had dared to stand, and had changed the universe forever. If this story moved you, subscribe for more human stories from the stars.